Hey guys, Dane here. In this video, I show you how I installed carpet over vinyl tile.
DIY Dine.
In a previous video, I removed the old carpet and discovered that it was completely glued down over vinyl tiles. I didn't want to disturb these tiles anymore in fear of asbestos, so for the tack strips, I went with the peel and stick kind. When installing the peel and stick strips, you want to ensure the floor they're sticking to is cleaned and clear of debris. The arrows on the strip should be pointing toward the wall, and you want about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch gap between the strip and the wall. I just use my fingers as the guide for the gap. You'll want to handle them carefully, because these tacks are sharp. For cutting these strips, you can use a few different methods, depending on the tools you have on hand. Here I use a utility knife. In a second, you'll see me use a pair of snips, which is much quicker. Another option is a hacksaw. To lay the strips around this door frame, I cut this side piece at a bit of an angle. Once the strips are all in place, we can roll out the foam padding. I went with the 3/8 inch foam because this room won't see a whole lot of traffic, and it was much cheaper than the next size up. Again, I start with the utility knife, but it wasn't getting a clean cut. So instead I use a pair of scissors to cut the rest, using the netting as a guide. The end I cut had a bit of excess, so I switched back to the utility knife since I was able to press it down more firmly to get a cleaner cut right along the strip. I cut another section the same length for the rest of the room and lined it up right along the edge of the first section. This left some excess to be cut on the side with the door. I left the foam laying through the doorway so that I could cut it and the carpet at the same length. Once I had all the foam padding cut and where I wanted it, I used Loctite PL300 to adhere the foam to the floor. Then I used masking tape to cover the seam and prevent it from getting snagged and pulled up. Now that the tack strips and foam padding were all in place, it was time to bring in the carpet. After centering the carpet, I could then make cuts for the closet area. For this, I used a carpet knife and a scrap piece of board to protect the rest of the carpet. If you're installing carpet, be very careful when handling a carpet knife. They are extremely sharp and I ended up needing a few band-aids throughout this process. When cutting the carpet, you want to cut it so that it at least touches the wall. That way, it can tuck in behind the tack strips and can be cut more if needed. I had to change the carpet cutting blade several times throughout this process. The blades may be sharp, but carpet is tough. The next step was to score all the corners so that the carpet can lay flat. I then cut away the excess, which can be done after connecting the carpet to the tack strips, but I found it easier to do it first. I then used a knee kicker to tack down a few feet on each side of this far corner, tucking in the carpet as I went. Then it was time to use a carpet stretcher, which I rented from Home Depot for a few hours. I placed a board on the flat end of the stretcher to prevent it from damaging the wall. If this trim was still in place, I would have a strip of carpet around the board so that it didn't damage the trim. Positioning the stretcher a few inches from the opposite wall, I stretched the carpet, pressed it down on the tack strip and tucked it in, being careful not to stretch it too far and risk pulling up the tack strip on the other side. Then I did the same with the other corner. Once both sides from that corner were stretched, I went down both sides with the knee kicker. It helps to follow behind the knee kicker with one hand's fingers pressing the carpet onto the tack strip. Then I shifted the stretcher along each wall, stretching and tucking the carpet. Next was knee kicking, cutting, and tucking around and inside the closet. The last step was cutting the doorway, which I used a carpet seam cutter to cut right along the carpet seam that sat directly in the center of the doorway. I will be replacing the hallway carpet to match this room's new carpet, which I'll connect to the door, using double-sided carpet tape beneath where the carpets will meet and some carpet seam sealer. Then I used the carpet knife to mark the foam along the carpet seam and scissors to get a clean cut. Finally, I threw on some new trim. I already have a video on installing trim, so I won't bore you with that part. To be honest, installing this carpet was one of my least favorite projects I've attempted, so kudos to all the carpenters who do this for a living. That being said, I am pretty happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you so much for watching.